A lie soaked in blood. Chris' gun trembled not fear but betrayal's weight. Wesker's voice coiled, you were never the hero. Ada's grappling hook vanished into smoke. Ouroboros demanded transcendence evolution through annihilation. Jill's recovery was Umbrella's puppetry, a father's shadow never severed. His sunglasses snapped open, a god's gaze, cold and familiar. Voices coy, lie of sheen evolution. The bullet that shattered Ouroboros' hold was a mercy, a lie polished to a mirror's sheen. Jill's recovery, a script rehearsed in boardroom shadows. Umbrella's true masterpiece wasn't Wesker's venom, it was the silence that followed. Her every choice, a performance for shareholders. They let her walk, but where do shackles fall when the key is corporate rot? A hero's smile, a silent puppet's grin. The war against bioterrorism never needed saving, only selling, and Jill, a brand, a story. A woman who escaped the very system that still breathes through her bones. Jill Valentine joined STAR's Alpha Team in 1997, a sharpshooter, a survivor. Her file marked her an asset. That year, Raccoon City's sewers became a tomb. She walked out, Wesker's mind games left her, or so the press reported. Her testimony sealed Umbrella's reputation, clean, noble, a hero. But Alpha Team's corpses told another tale. Their reports vanished, her words became doctrine. By 1998, Umbrella's labs sprawled from Paris to Kyoto. Each facility hummed with new plagues, new weapons, new subjects. Her name appeared in security logs, training cycles, stress tests, not as a patient. As a participant, did her recovery hinge on erasing truth or rehearsing a lie? Her speeches mirrored press releases, her memoirs sanitized horrors, a pattern. A script the company's grip rebranded. Her face, once defiance, became a logo, a clean-cut image for a rotting empire, her every move scrutinized. Her every word scripted. Raccoon's ghosts whisper. Did she ever truly walk away, or was her escape the first act, a performance to bury the next? The system does not surrender pawns, it reshapes them. And Jill, a relic with a trigger, a woman who thinks she's free. While the corporation breathes through her veins. The cold of the lab clings to her skin. A year after Raccoon's ashes, Jill walks upright. Her boots echo in sterile halls, a rhythm Umbrella engineers to sound like freedom. They show the world a hero, eyes clear, posture rigid, a woman reborn, but the Ouroboros project does not end with death. It persists in the gaps between breaths. She hunts the corporation with a fervor that mirrors their design. Every dossier she deciphers, every safe house she raids, leads her back to the same coordinates. Not coincidence. The labs built her to crave this hunt. Her fingers trace the grip of her gun lighter, then the one Wesker held to her temple in 2009. That day, the Ouroboros virus did not merely rewrite his body. It threaded itself into hers, dormant, waiting for the hum of its harmonic frequency. In 1998, she survived by outrunning the plague. In 2003, she survived by outthinking it, but survival is not the same as choice. The Re3 archives show her dismantling BOW networks with a precision that borders on ritual. She believes she is undoing Umbrella's work, she is performing it. The corporation's true end game is not eradication, it is ascension. Wesker's 2009 monologue in Cragleave was no mere soliloquy, it was a thesis. Humanity, he argued, is a failed experiment. Evolution demands a new template tone where fear and doubt are pruned, where willpower is sharpened into a blade. Jill's body became that blade. The brainwashing was not a corruption, it was a calibration, a tuning fork set to vibrate at the frequency of transcendence. Her recovery was a curtain. Behind it, scientists monitored the Ouroboros integration, ensuring her immune system rejected no part of the design. The cure they administered was a placebo, a performance, a lie so perfect it became truth. When she raises her voice in press conferences, when she swears to justice, the virus hums in agreement, and Wesker, he watches from the periphery. Not as an enemy, but as an architect, his Ouroboros is not a weapon, it is a bridge. Jill is its first traveler. A woman who thinks she fights for freedom while the corporation breathes through her veins. A relic, a trigger. A vessel for the dawn of something colder, brighter, and utterly unhuman. What if her defiance was the final act of her making? In 2009, Chris Redfield pulled the trigger. The Ouroboros curse shattered. Jill Valentine breathed. But liberation is a fragile thing when the cage is rebuilt in shadows. The Besaw stood as a monument to justice. Formed in 2002 to bury Umbrella's sins, yet its walls were built on compromises, on silence. A corporation's shadow stretched through every protocol, every psychological evaluation. Every recovery report, Jill's name appeared clean. Her eyes, once hollow, now burned with purpose, but purpose can be scripted. Chris saw a sister saved. The world saw a hero reunited with her shadow. No one questioned the speed of her reintegration. No one noted how her testimony omitted the years between Raccoon and Canterbury, a lost year, a missing thread. Hope is a dangerous thing in a theater of control. Did Chris free a woman or claim a performance for the ages? The BSAW oversight was a curtain. Behind it, Umbrella's scientists whispered new formulas, not in labs but in policy, in funding. In the careful curation of trauma, Jill's defiance became a script, her every mission a distraction. A loyal soldier need not remember the architect of her will. Wesker's grip was broken, but another's remained untraceable. What if her recovery was the first wound, a second imprisonment, softer, slower? The corporation did not need to own her body. It needed to own the narrative. Chris Redfield's bullet was a victory, or was it a prologue? The BSAW files remain sealed. And Jill Valentine walks forward, a woman, a weapon, a question with no answer. Only the quiet hum of a system that never truly let her go. Her recovery was no triumph, a script, a shield for Umbrella's claws. They needed her to believe she fought back. Needed the world to see a hero, not a puppet. Every scar a prop, every choice a cue. Umbrella's agenda thrives in the illusion of victory. The system breathes through her still. What if the rebellion was the cage? The fight was never the escape. In the silence after Raccoon's fall, Jill Valentine vanished from the record. Not in body, her name still graces mission logs, press conferences, BSAW commendations. But the years after 2009, they are etched in absence. No journals, no testimonies, only gaps where her choices should be. What does a rebel become when the war ends? A relic, a tool, or a ghost in the machine? The BSAW never saw the strings. They traced her footprints, not the shadows between them. A woman who survived Wesker's mind should have burned with defiance. Yet Jill's path after Re-3, it mirrors the very system she swore to dismantle. Key decisions, strategic silences. A name that surfaces just often enough to seem human. Could a mind unshackled still echo Umbrella's cadence? Her allies speak of her as a survivor. A leader, but survival is not the same as freedom. What if the cure they celebrated was a veneer? A performance staged to bury the truth, that Wesker's grip never loosened, only adapted. The protocols didn't die with Raccoon. They slithered into new suits, new institutions. And Jill, was she the actor or the script? The grief here is not in her betrayal. It is in the unknowing, a life rebuilt on phantom orders. A hero reduced to a marionette, dancing for an audience that forgot the strings existed. If the rebellion was the cage, then what remains of Jill Valentine? A question, a whisper, a name that no longer answers. The T-virus was a wound. Ouroboros is a scar that bleeds inward. Umbrella's pathogen evolution did not end with Raccoon City. It slithered deeper into the marrow of minds, not just bodies. Jill's recovery, a flicker of light in the dark, was no triumph. It was a script. A performance rehearsed in the same labs that birthed the Ouroboros strain. They did not break her, they became her. The T-virus gnawed at flesh, Ouroboros gnaws at will. If Wesker's control was a noose, Umbrella's is a second skin. Tighter, cleaner, indistinguishable. Her defiance, her resolve ethic could have been curated. A puppet strings reforged as self. Who decides which scars are proof of survival and which are blueprints? Umbrella's war never shifted from biological to psychological. It merged. The Ouroboros project was not a weapon. It was a whisper, *, you can unmake a person without ever touching them. * Jill's recovery was a cipher, a message in plain sight. They let her walk free, but freedom is a performance, a mask, the real experiment, letting the world believe the cage had been shattered. What does a corporation do when its enemies become legends? It writes their epilogues. Jill's every choice, was it hers? Or a permutation of trauma, guided by the same hands that engineered her salvation? The Ouroboros strain does not just rewrite DNA, it rewrites the narrative. The victim, the hero, the truth. Umbrella's shadow does not recede, it adapts, it becomes the light. Jill Valentine's name still echoes. But does it belong to her or to Truth, Umbrella's shadow does not recede, it adapts, it becomes the light. Jill Valentine's name still echoes, but does it belong to her? Or to the architects who carved her will into a weapon? The year following Raccoon's fall is a void scorched records, hushed testimonies. Jill's return to duty reads as liberation, yet every stride, every clipped report carries the weight of a script rehearsed in blood, Umbrella's agenda unburied. Their labs, now rebranded, still breed abominations. The same hands that funded her survival also stitched horrors into human hosts. Was her defiance genuine? Or a performance polished to mimic the soul of a woman who might still be trapped, whispering in chains? No evidence, only echoes. Corporate theater demands believable lies. A recovered agent, a closed chapter-perfect cover for open wounds. Jill's legacy is a mirror. It reflects our need to believe heroes can triumph, but what if the triumph was the trap? What if every victory since Raccoon's ashes is a step deeper into the maze? The truth, it festers. Not in files, but in the spaces between her breaths, between the lines of every interview where she speaks in riddles, eyes avoiding the camera. She walks among us, or does she? The question is not if Umbrella's grip remains, it is whether Jill ever truly slipped free. And if she did, she never looked back. Jill Valentine stood where the Alpha team once breathed as one. Chris Redfield still does. Two shadows cast from the same sun, one fractured by glass, one whole. The lab reports claimed her mind was cleansed. The scars on her neck tell another tale. Chris carried his purpose like a torch. Jill clutched hers like a script. He carved paths through bioweapon hell. She navigated boardrooms with the same cold precision. A hero's resolve or a puppet's reflex, the line bleeds. Umbrella's architects understood duality. One face to bury the truth, another to resurrect it. Jill's smile in press conferences was it her own? Or a rehearsed gesture, a nod to unseen masters? Her pursuit of Wesker's ghost, was it vengeance or a cue in a longer play? Chris Redfield trusts his instincts. Jill Valentine trusts her training. Training forged in fire, yes, but also in whispers. The same whispers that turned STARS soldiers into weapons. Did they truly silence them when she awoke, or did they merely change the melody? The Alpha team's mission was to shield the world. Jill's became to shield a secret, a paradox in human skin. You see a survivor. They see a vault, and in the space between, a question no autopsy can answer. When a prisoner escapes the cell, does the warden ever truly leave the key? The lab's sterile corridors hum with a held breath. A single holographic data stream pulses in Wesker's grip, a thread of light spun from Ouroboros code, its serpentine glow reflecting in his pupils. He does not speak until the silence curdles into something tangible. Then, humanity is a disease that must be cured. The words hang not as declaration but as post-mortem. Jill's vacant stare, once defiance, now echoes his creed. Her recovery was no rebirth, but performance scripted by neural implants humming beneath her skin, their tendrils coiled like vipers in the theater of her mind. Umbrella's ledgers do not lie, they calculate. Every twitch of her jaw, every tear staged to sway the public, was a cipher in their algorithm. The antiseptic scent masks the rot beneath, a body freed, a soul still shackled. Ouroboros, that cursed elixir of transcendence, was never meant to heal. It was a puppet string, a leash woven into her synapses to ensure her awakening served the corporation's design. What is a cure if not a new infection? Wesker's thesis was never about evolution, it was about erasure. A world without humanity, curated by the monsters it birthed, and Jill. She walks that world now, a ghost in her own skin, her every step a question mark in Umbrella's ledger. The finality of his pronouncement is not in the words, but in the pause that follows, a pause that says, this is how it ends. Not with a fall, but with a slow, clinical unmaking. A disease, after all, is never truly cured, it is only passed along. What if Jill Valentine never truly escaped Wesker's grip? Cold steel still hums beneath her veins, a flicker in her eyes, a pause too sharp. They staged her recovery, a script rehearsed in shadowed labs where whispers of cure masked a slower reprogramming. Her laughter, once a wildfire, now carries the hollow ring of a recording. If Wesker's poison was a seed, Umbrella's harvest blooms in her every choice. Who else walks free yet treads a leash?